Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Franki 411 podcast. I'm your host, Haleigh Overseth. This episode, my guest is Livia Devi. Livia is a consciousness coach, and she is helping people to find their way to their most abundant, most free selves. She has got such wonderful, beautiful energy and powerful enough that apparently I had some technical issues. I had to go without my microphone. But it was certainly an excellent conversation. I absolutely enjoyed every bit of it from start to finish, and I hope you will too. Here's my conversation with Livia Devi. So, thank you so much for joining me today. I have Livia Devi here to talk with me for the podcast. And if you could introduce yourself just a little bit to the audience, give a kind of brief overview of who you are and what you do.
Thank you, Haleigh, for inviting me to this conversation. I'm Livia Devi. I'm a fifth dimensional mentor, trans-channel, and entrepreneur. So I work with people all around the world in helping them shift their consciousness into a higher state of awareness and consciousness, and, to deepen the connection to their heart and soul, and to also uncover within themselves their gifts and talents, and then helping them create a divine soul mission and also create a business on this planet that is aligned to them, to their soul. So I help people into the evolutionary process of their consciousness, of their business and wealth and abundance, and then how they can impact communities and the world.
I love it. I'm so excited about it because I'm in such sort of a space right now myself of kind of exploring that realm, exploring, what is my mission and how do I follow it to the highest degree, and still having a little bit of that, the human survival mode that we're kind of attached to and trying to disconnect from. And I know that, I saw on your website and your information, you also work with like wealth consciousness for people. Could you maybe talk just a little bit about that aspect of what you do? Kind of how do we disconnect a little bit from that, the human concern and the fear around our material needs, right?
Thank you for asking this question. It's such a great question. And I would like to tie up the answer with my journey because
I love it. Let's hear about you.
Yes. So, I worked for 15 years in corporation in Silicon Valley, and I was a corporate person. So I was very much driven by these values in the third dimension, by the money and the power and the fame and the status and everything that I have gained through having money that was given to me from the job. And in 2016, I had a major shift in consciousness that awakened me and also placed me onto a different timeline where I resigned, I let go of my job, and I start building a business that is anchored into different values. And those values is what you mentioned, wealth consciousness. Wealth consciousness is not only about money, it's how you can create and bring value to the world and to the planet through the gifts and talents that you have, but also how you can create a change within yourself that can inspire others. How can you create a change for another person and in the community? So the concept of wealth within the fifth dimensional realm goes beyond the immediate needs of covering bills and running after money or chasing money, or being in scarcity and lack consciousness, separation consciousness. Because what's happening within the third dimensional realms where I have been, of course, like I was in a very, let's say, privileged position because I work hard to go up the ladder within the corporation and be very well paid. But also within that system, I felt like I was a slave, and I was so conditioned about money. My entire reality was actually defined by the job I was, and the clothes I was wearing, and who I was mingling with, and the car I was driving, and what house I was living in. While when I shifted my consciousness, I realized that, all of this plus so much more we can have when we deepen our understanding into, how we can make a change in the world in a way that can be in alignment with who we are, and how we can actually, create businesses that are sustainable, that is not, is not only for example, when I work in corporation, all the money that I was generating as savings was going to the owners and the shareholders, stakeholders of the company. And this is what a 3D business has. You know, people are chasing profit, and only the owner is actually rich or wealthy, and he's paying salaries to people to work for him. While, you know, a fifth dimensional business is running on a different principle and, you know, different quantum systems that allows everyone to contribute and everyone to tap into the abundance consciousness and the wealth consciousness. And when we are creating a sustainable business that is impacting others and is like shifting other realities from, you know, in like a life and business and personal life, then you know that you are serving other people and they are becoming wealthy. Because I have worked with so many people and they have different blockages. Everything comes from subconscious realm, right?
Yes. The
So
subconscious programming, I think, is, you know, certainly something that I'm still working with myself, because, you know, I'm a creative person, and this podcast and my fictional podcast, I have these more expansive conversations. This is where my passion is, right? This is what lights me up. But I still have very much that human attachment to the bills, paying, you know, being concerned about the survival situation. But then also there's that element too, I think, for creative people, or people who are trying to approach the sort of business you have, where there's sort of a limiting belief that says there's, you know, not enough to go around, or that there's not enough audience, that the market is sort of saturated. So can you speak to that a little bit? I mean,
yes.
because what you're talking about is a very sort of more expansive, everyone can be abundant, everyone can be wealthy. And this is not something that we are conditioned to believe is possible as humans. It's a very third dimensional consciousness and mindset to think there's only so much to go around, there's only so many pieces of the pie. But really and truly, there is enough for everyone to be wealthy. You know, so can you talk about that a little bit, and maybe a little bit of the programming that you kind of have to, I don't know if overcome is the right word, but maybe replace with new programming?
Mm-hmm. So thank you for this question. I love this conversation already. It's so good.
I'm loving it. It's great. I'm so glad you're here.
Me too. So in the third dimension, the conditioning that we have that is coming from society, from culture, from education, also from the family environment, is that resources are limited and people have to compete and be in a competition and fight for those resources. This is not true. This is just a belief that had been imprinted within the collective consciousness, and people are in struggle and hustle and grind because they don't believe that they can access higher level of abundance. And the belief is coming from the fact that in the third dimension, people think there is only one reality, one world, one resource, one job, one everything is limited, right? Well, when we shift our consciousness, and the shifting consciousness is happening through going into the subconscious mind and deprogramming all these programs, because once you deprogram, you start to shift your perception and you start to see that the reality that you have lived in is just such a limited reality. It's like you have seen reality only with 5% of what is actually
Right.
of your eyes, and suddenly your eyes
slice.
Yeah, suddenly your eyes start to see it not 100%, and you realize like, wow, like I only have seen my reality through this limited lens of perception, and I created my reality in that way. So when we shift our consciousness through the deprogramming process, and I will go a little bit deeper after into this, is that you start to actually access and see possibilities and start to see the abundance and start to see that there are not limited resources. And you understand as a human being that everyone has an important role that can contribute to this planet. So the competition, struggle and pain and poverty is actually replaced with collaboration, co-creation,
Right.
deliberate participation. Like people start to, when they shift their consciousness, they realize, oh my God, we don't have to compete with one another. Actually, we can be and have millions of podcasts and millions of conversation that we can have on the same subject, and we will always provide value to our listener because we are sharing the same thing from a different perspective. And the perspective
Yes.
we are sharing is such a unique perspective because you are one soul blueprint, like your expression is unique, right?
Right. See, and this is something that I think is so important for people to remember and consider, is that whatever is your particular flavor or genre, whatever it is, even if you just look at just, this sort of slice of like exploring human consciousness podcasts, as much as there might be a lot of them, like you said, there can be millions of them, there's still room for everyone, because different groups, different people are going to resonate with different people in a more aligned sort of way. So like if you have, for example, there's various different channelers out there, you have Abraham Hicks, or you have Daryl Anka, or these different people, they all have the same message. Yes, from source is it coming the same message of us all being interconnected, and abundance and happiness being our natural state. But we all have to hear it from the person that we can receive that message from. And that's why it is important that there's, even if you are doing something that you think someone else is already doing, the way you do it is going to connect to someone else differently than how someone else does it. And if you have that drive and that desire to do what it is that you have a passion to do, it's because someone out there is looking for you, and the way that you present the message and the way that you say, even if it's the same message, the perception, the way that you say it is going to resonate differently with different people. And so you're still very necessary. And I do love, so I wonder if you can maybe, sorry, I know I kind of interrupted a little bit. I'm just very excited about this conversation.
I love it.
But that's kind of something I also try to think about, is that there's always an audience for you, not just because there's billions of people on the planet, but because there's billions of infinite sort of parallel realities where you're not just dealing with one planet Earth. Like there's a planet Earth where you belong. So I wonder if you can, I know that's kind of a big, broad concept for a lot of people, and maybe a little too out there for a lot of people. Do you have a way that you kind of help ground that sort of concept for maybe people who are not sort of in the realms that we're in, and used to having this kind of conversation?
Sure. Yes. Is for them to understand that they have a place on this world, and their gifts and talents and what they are expressing is highly needed, is because everyone is attracting people that are on the same frequency, reality, and the same level of consciousness. So someone can say the same message like others, but the way they say, their frequency output is unique, and then is actually vibrating in the same level with others that are ready to receive. So there is such a big universe and multiverse in our existence, and everything is quantum. And this is what I teach. I take people a little bit from the spiritual multi-dimensional realm that everyone can be lost there. I bring them into science and quantum physics and quantum mechanics, and then I
love
go,
it.
because I'm explaining people how everything works, and then I'm going and grounding into the 3D and how they can use that information in practical ways that can apply to their life, to their business, to their, if they want to share that with their communities, and so on and so forth. And I feel like for everyone, it's good to remember that, if you exist on this planet right now, and, only your existence is because that you are such a beloved child of the universe and the cosmic, Father, Mother, God, and you are here for a reason. And your reason is for being, but also every word you say, how you move in time and space, your how you interact with other people is serving. Like how many times people are just meeting the right people in the right time, and they say a word, and that word changed their life, and they are not a coach, they are not multidimensional beings, they are not entrepreneurs, they are just present. And I feel like what is uniting us all is the capacity to actually stay in the present moment, because when we deep into that presence, we are deeping into the 0 point field, and we are become like these vehicles of light for source and our spirit to flow through us. And this is when we are serving the world at our highest. And I feel like when we move in this flow of consciousness, everything becomes so easy and effortlessly, compared with what we have been taught in the third dimension, that you will only have a voice if you have I don't know how many degrees, and if you are a doctor, or you have
or the right number of followers on this or that platform.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you know, in the third dimension is like you will only be, you know, have a voice, or or you'll only be, you know, these are conditioning layers. You know, these are beliefs that come from the society. You have to go so much up the ladder to prove society that you are worthy to express yourself. While
Right.
in this realm where we exist, and how many people are plugging into this realm of consciousness, we are worthy and of value only because we exist and we are expressing ourselves, and people are there ready to receive us. So if you have a gift and talent and excitement, this means already that there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that are ready to receive that message from you. And you know, when people want to actually come out with their gifts and talents, and this is where my work actually comes into play, because I'm helping people to you know, to find the power within themselves. I'm empowering them to actually remember their gifts and talents, and I'm helping them create a framework and a structure how they can deliver that to the world. And you know, I'm always saying, when, because there is a process, you know, for people to go into this and to go outside and put themselves out there. Sometimes they have fears, and I always remind them is that, you know, how many people are waiting for you right now to just say that word, to just
I love it.
speak, to just, and you know, this always happened when my clients went out and they are like speaking their truth and being their power, and create this video and post that image, and you know, being in that flow. So many people are receiving them, and they are so grateful that they took the journey, are grateful to themselves and then to all other, because I'm just a facilitator. I'm facilitated their journey, you know, as everyone on this planet, you know, is contributing. So yes.
I love it. And you know, I think that that's so true. It's not only in, you know, your passions and what you do, but like even if you're just being in your highest self and being in a good mood and feeling good, maybe you'll compliment somebody that you see on the street and you brighten their day in a way that maybe they really needed. They might have been in a funk. They might, you know, so it is
Yeah.
that thing of like you never know. And you might not even know after you've done it who you've really truly affected, who you've been able to help, you know. Like for me, the thing that came up when you were talking about that, my youngest sister just graduated high school, and she had some quote in her, like this interview that she had for her, like leaving high school. What was your favorite quote? And it was a quote from me that I had told her one time, "You're too big for this small town." And I just thought to my, like, it was something that like I was like, yeah, I absolutely do believe that, and I said that to you, but like no idea that it would have that much impact on her, that because I know I said it when she was like 13 or something, and here she's graduating high school and she says that's her favorite quote. And it's just one of those things that it's like, you know, wow, when you say the thing you really do truly believe, you don't know how it might really affect someone, and how they believe in themselves and how they operate themselves. And I think in a lot of ways, it's kind of, it's like nature, right? When you are your highest self, we do co-create in a harmonious way, the way that nature does. And that's why there is room for everyone, because we all have different functions, different things to give. Like, you know, trees have a different function, squirrels have a different function. Like everything belongs in nature, and we are part of nature, and we all belong. We all have something to offer, something to, you know, keep this amazing ecosystem that we're in going. And so I love it. I love that you also include quantum mechanics and quantum physics, because I'm such a fan of like I'm kind of a fangirl of physics. And it's really important in it to kind of merge the two, right? Science and spirituality, because quantum physics now is really tapping into what spirituality has kind of already always said. And we have I guess you could say empirical data for people who might otherwise not really want to accept that sort of spirituality. It's like, okay, but we can bring you over to this quantum physics information and explain to you that no, scientists do give us empirical data that these things are true. So I wonder if you can maybe talk about how do you incorporate that just a little bit, because I think it's important for people who might otherwise not necessarily want to delve into these beliefs. It might be too far out for them, that there is science to back up the principles of this sort of spirituality.
Yes, thank you for sharing. And I want to bring into the discussion that I had a client that she was a physicist, and she wrote scientific papers on the quantum physics and mechanics for 25 years. And after she researched and, you know, did a lot of experiments, and like being so passionate about quantum physics, she came across me and she attended one of my programs. So she worked with me for 6 months into one of my programs. And what she mentioned at the end is that everything within quantum physics and mechanics that she have learned, whatever she have learned from me on how I have explained how everything works, just took her understanding to the next level, plus the shifting consciousness that she have experienced as a human being. So what I'm doing is that because I'm able to access the quantum field, I'm bringing all those structures, information, the architecture, how the particles and the molecules interact, how the the particles are as wave and different structures. I explain to people. So I do activations with them, and then I explain them, the science behind it and the quantum physics mechanics and how the laws of the universe are working and how everything interacts, because people need to understand the process at a mental level in order for them to surrender even deeper and to receive these transmissions and activations in their consciousness. Right? So then when they become passionate about, so when we bridge science with spirituality and we ground it in physical reality, people are actually able to access, they start accessing themselves, that knowledge, and everything that they have learned, in the life until now start to link up and make sense, even if they have like quantum knowledge or only as a physical physician, no knowledge, like everything comes together. So even if you're like, I work with biologists and people that were very passionate about chemistry and like quantum physics and mechanics scientists, and I work with people from regenerative medicine and doctors as well. So people that are actually taking the evolution of consciousness at the cellular level, and they are studying how to reverse degenerative diseases. And I work with people all around the world from different parts of life, whoever is attracted of my work and wants actually to bridge to the next level, to go from the third dimension to the fourth into the fifth, but not the information, not to just stay out there floating in their heads, but actually how they apply the information that they receive to their day-to-day life. And I'm very passionate about all the practices and teachings that I do about embodiment and how people understanding is changing their life, like how I'm taking the information and the data in full embodiment and integration for them to become what they are taught. And this is a new way of teaching. And, I believe that in the future, this will, be will revolutionize the way we are receiving information, because in school, we are only receiving information at the mental level and we are storing data into a database.
Yes.
And we are trying
very much about memorization, not necessarily about sort of how it operates. And
exactly.
I wonder if you can speak to this in terms of just the sort of upgrade and transition that maybe collective human consciousness is going through. We have a lot of so kids today are a lot of times labeled as being ADHD or, having autism, being on the spectrum, having these, we give it these labels as if there's something wrong with them. But really, they're maybe closer to the upgraded consciousness than the old systems are. And so the process of learning for them is faster, is different. And these sort of, like you're saying, the previous ways that we have been taught and the structure of schooling doesn't serve us anymore. It doesn't fit anymore. And so it's, I guess what you do is really very important, because, the adults of the world need to kind of catch up to where the kids sort of are coming in at a closer level to that fifth dimensional consciousness and having, understanding this at a vibrational level and not necessarily needing to sort of intellectualize and articulate it in the way that maybe people of older generations are having to. So I sorry, that thought just like popped into my head. And I do think that like it's,
I want to speak into that, because
yes,
it's
definitely
such an important message for everyone that is listening right now. Understanding, how evolution of consciousness and how we are evolving as a species allows these new babies that are born nowadays to have abilities that had not been activated before in their parents, but they had been activated in them. So the way they are seeing and interacting with reality is very different, because they are able to access a large spectrum of their perceptual field, and some of them are operating beyond beyond the seven senses that we are, you know, equipped with. So, and this is part of the evolutionary journey. And when these children are shut down, when these children are actually not allowed to explore that field where they are in, then they're developing these behaviors, you know, like ADHD or PTSD or
Right.
any that, you know, is actually taking them into a fear and closing them up because they believe that you know, something is wrong with this reality, and something is wrong, like, because indeed, like, we are still having a, you know, in a third dimension, a density and duality, the way it's playing out. But, you know, as we are evolving, our environment is changing as well. So we are responsible as parents to introduce our children to this environment and to let them see it beyond what we are able to perceive. And the same with the autist children. The autist children, they have incredible capacity of seeing everything beyond this reality. So they are able to tap into source energy, like their channel is open. They are so tapped into so many realms of existence, you know. I feel like time has come for humanity to not only open our hearts and souls and, you know, our minds, but also surrender to the fact that as every other species on this on other planets, or every other species on this planet, the human race is evolving. And I feel like like humans don't want to accept this change, that we are evolving and changing. And we are not only, you know, the evolution is not only seen as technological advancement that we are seeing in our outside reality and how many cool things we can build, but also to understand that there is a lot of technological evolution within our human body and how we are engineered, you know.
Right.
And
Our consciousness and how we can create the outside world, like not just from the technology and sort of like the nuts and bolts third dimensional dense way of doing it, but that you can tap into that quantum level and you can allow things to create themselves in your external world. And that's something that, you know, I know that we can't really make sense of, but I'm so excited really to see the kids that are coming up today. I always think of this, like, you know, you think of how kids today were born with the internet. It's just a fact of their existence, this access, this global connectivity. And, you know, there's so much of like, I watched throughout my life the internet develop, right? And I know that there are a lot of people who think that it's a bad thing, that it's, you know, there's sort of, it's making people's attention span less or whatever. But it's like, no, kids that are coming up with that, they learn faster, things come to them quicker, and they don't need the same repetitive processes and practice in any kind of concept. And they're so much more expansive naturally in their vibration. And I think that's part of what happens, is that, you know, we're still trying to push those old systems on them and restrict them. And that's why those, like you say, those behaviors come out, because they know that that's incorrect, that it's not necessary to operate that way. And so I'm so excited to see, like, what are they going to create, and what are these younger generations, like my younger sister or even younger kids than that, what kind of things are they going to show adults and create with the things that we have available? It's, you know, it's really exciting to think about that. But I'm not a parent myself, and I'm not someone who like wants to be a parent, but I do certainly think that it's important for, again, the adults or the older generations of the world, even if you're not a parent, to want to actively be a part of creating the new environment and of accepting these new ideas, of releasing and allowing to, you know, the old systems that no longer serve us, you know, getting to a place where we are ready to let them go. Because I do believe that kids that are coming up today, they're going to create something that's so different and so, you know, so much more harmonious and blissful for everyone. But, you know, those of us who are older, even if we don't have kids, we still have to be in a place of being willing to accept that new system, and being willing to let go of those old things that are the structures that we sort of, even though they don't serve us, we're so familiar with them, they feel safe, right? Because we're safe in familiarity. So, you know, I wonder, do you do any kind of work with that? Just sort of the allowing of letting go of the broader structures that we think, well, you have to have a job and you have to have this and you have to have healthcare, and sort of not being able to let go of those things in the adult space to create that environment that allows like the expansion that we are seeing, that you know, we are aware of, but that maybe, again, other people might not necessarily be open to yet.
100%. And I love this because what the journey that I'm taking people through is understanding, how these structures relates to them, because everything in the society, in the old paradigm or the third dimension, I want to call it old paradigm because these structures are old and they are not quite functioning as well. They are not serving humanity as much. And I feel like, I'm helping people to move from that state of codependency when people feel safe to have all these structures around them, all these healthcare and or like all sorts of structures like systems, like systems that are not financial, medical, educational system that are not working, and also like allowing themselves to unplug from that paradigm and become independent. So when they become independent and sovereign and empowered, they have the choice to choose. So they are exercising their capacity to choose, and they remind themselves that they have the power of choice. Because not so many people on this planet is actually, we are conditioned that we have everything is by default. We have to do what everyone is doing. We have to follow the trend and the crowd, and we have to do it. Otherwise, it will be bad. So when you are independent and you have the capacity to choose, then you are reorientating in a different way, and you are saying what structures are going to make my life more efficient and serve me more, not how I can serve the structures. Because in the third dimension, in the codependency, people are actually plugged into that structures, and they they end up working for the structure, for the system. The system is not working for them anymore, right? So we are moving people from codependency to independency to interdependency. And an interdependent space is when a sovereign human being is choosing how to interact with the new structures that he or she is creating. And this is why I'm working with people that build retreat centers all around the world, and they are creating new systems, new systems where we have a new educational system, a new financial system, a new social, cultural system, where there are like no barriers between cultures. And, we start to go a little bit deeper into accepting diversity as unity, and coming into that space where everyone is accepted, no matter of the race, color, background, culture, age, sex, and so on and so forth. Like, we come together because we are creating, creating spaces where people can actually feel that interdependency, that they can, co-create with structures around them that are serving their highest expansion and evolution on this planet.
Yes, again, it's like nature. Not all animals can be birds. Not all animals can be lions. Not all plants can be a tree or grass. Like, you need all of it. The diversity is necessary for a thriving environment. And that's so the same with people. And I think that that's something that is really great about this kind of like paradigm flipping conversation, to look at it and to say that, the things about you that are different are what make you the thing that you're supposed to be to help the environment that you're in. Like, we're all supposed to, whatever it is you like, whatever it is that you're passionate about, the thing that gives you joy, you are supposed to follow that, and not just follow the old structures or follow the old paradigms and just do what you do because, oh, it's what people do and that's what you're supposed to do. No, the thing that lights you up the most is what you're supposed to do. That's your true self, and that's the function that you're supposed to have. Just like a bird or a tree or whatever it is in nature, they all have a function, they all have a place, they all help to create the environment that is. And that's such a, the beauty of diversity is the unity, that in operating in whatever your flavor, your state, your thing is, you are being an integral part of the entirety of the puzzle, and I love that sort of more broad, expansive view of things, that diversity is oneness. And it's such a counterintuitive thing to third dimensional, reality or mindset, that difference is what makes you one. But it is so true. And I do love that. I'm so enjoying this conversation. It's hard for me to like contain myself just a little bit, because this is so great. I wonder if you can talk about then just a little bit, sort of talk about yourself and your, how did you sort of come into this shift of consciousness yourself? Like, what is your story of how this sort of realization or maybe upgrade or integration of this new consciousness sort of came to you?
Yeah, so as I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, I had an awakening in 2016. I worked for 15 years in corporation, and then in 2016 I started to actually have a huge major shift in consciousness, and I started to connect with the higher realms of existence, and I connected with the Arcturian Council of Light, which I trans-channel right now. So I trans-channel the civilization, and from that moment I start to actually see things from a different perspective, and I start to understand the power that we have as a choice. So I moved from whatever I teach is also the journey that I took as well, because this
Mm-hmm.
teaching embodied. So I moved from that codependent grid in the third dimension into the fourth dimensional grid of independency, and now I'm co-creating with beings that are ready to take the journey into the fifth dimension and actually connect with the new earth and this new paradigm where everything is effortlessly and easy. And that was in 2016. I had this major shift in consciousness, and I started to see that I can help because my gifts and talents got activated, and I start to see how I can actually help with the Arcturian Council of Life so many people to actually start being in their power and start expanding their gifts, but also offering and impacting more people. So I built a business around that. So I merged my divine service with business, because I used to be working in business for like so many years, for
Yeah.
30 years. So I had that background, and I was thinking, how can I actually use what I know and create something that can serve so many people? So in this
Creating
moment,
that bridge between, okay, here's what I have, here's what I've
exactly,
known, here's that new thing that I want to do. How do I bridge
bring them
that gap?
together.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I created this incredible service to the world. I have a global community. I work with people from so many countries. Now I'm based in Hawaii, United States, where I
Mm-hmm.
reside. But I used to live and travel all around the world and carry this message and do these powerful activations and transmissions and programs. And the results had been amazing. And the fact that I had this business background allowed me actually to bridge multiple worlds, to go into the third dimension in the business and entrepreneurial world,
Mm-hmm.
and people that are there that are not able to access fifth dimensional consciousness as much as I am able to work with spiritual people that never had a business background and help them how to build that and bring
Yeah.
them. So I feel like I'm a connector and I'm a bridge between worlds, and I'm bridging people with what they don't have in order to create that wholeness, to
Right.
activate within them that blueprint, in their wholeness, and for them to start sharing from that empowered state and make a global impact. Because when I started doing this mission 2016, I realized, wow, this is so big and I can't do it on my own. So how I can activate more people? I had so many clients that came in my programs, and they build like incredible network and structures in their countries. So everything
Mm-hmm.
like got a ripple effect, and I realized, wow, this is how like I am empowering people to take these major journeys and create a beautiful service, and then for them to teach that. So I created like teachers all over the world,
I
like
love it.
that they are serving people, and they are bridging consciousness, bridging worlds,
Mm-hmm.
and helping people where there are. A big part of my work is subconscious deprogramming, because this is what keeps people
Yes. And I
behind, you know?
see, and I think that I just think it's such a synchronicity that like I came across you and we connected to have this conversation, because that's so where I am. I am a creative person. I've done a little bit of kind of trying to do my own business things, but it just hasn't worked yet. And I know that if I can get myself connected to that quantum self, my true being, right? Inner being, higher self, however you want to term it, however people want to use the terminology, that the right things will flow into place for me in the right ways. And the things that I truly want to do, I will be able to do. And it can support me, and it can be something that I can be offering, whatever it is I have to give to people. I'm sort of at the beginning of my journey in a lot of ways, and not necessarily fully understanding how it's all supposed to work. What is my place in this? How do I move forward out of that third dimension further into my fifth dimensional self? Which is certainly something I'm exploring in my fictional writing. But I love it. And I'm not sure how much you necessarily want to talk about your channeling. I'll leave it up to you. I don't want to, I love that conversation. And I do think to a certain degree that that's partly how we connected. I have a guide that I call Galadriel that I do believe is Arcturian, and I have my whole other like stories of how these things have kind of popped into my head, and it's part of my writing and my creativity. It's how they come out, but it's starting to be something where I'm recognizing that okay, these are other energies, entities, consciousnesses that are trying to co-create with me. I'm in this third dimensional to fifth dimensional transitional space, and I kind of, it's like I don't quite know how to bridge that gap myself, but I know that they're trying to talk to me. So I'm not sure, if you're comfortable with it. I would really love to talk a little bit more about that, if you would, the connection you have to the Arcturian Council, and sort of who they are, and how does that integrate with your mission?
Yeah, so the Arcturian Council of Light is an advanced civilization from the seventh dimension.
The
And
seventh, okay.
yeah, and they are very advanced technological. So they use color, sound, plasma light technology, crystalline technology, sacred geometry technology, light language in like and creating like beautiful transformation in people consciousness. So I'm a trance challenge, which means that I go into a trance and they are flowing through me and they are transmitting to the world. And the people that are coming in my reality ready for these transformations are the ones that are ready to make that shift. People that have tried everything, had took all the trainings in the world. They tried everything on their own, and
meditation, trying all the different
meditation,
techniques.
and was like heavy heart and pain. And when they felt like, when they surrendered, actually they found me. When they say like, God help me, and they found me. And everyone that founds me is through chains of serendipities. I'm just popping up in people's feed, my Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
Yes.
Someone saying, this is how people are finding me. I'm not doing so much advertising and marketing. Like paid advertising is very rare, and I'm always
but I love that, because it shows that is the universe knows how to put it together for you. We have such this and that's kind of where I'm at, is that I know that yes, I should, a third dimensional reality says you should advertise, and you should build a funnel, and these are the business steps, right? The old system steps that you take to draw in an audience, whereas the universe has the ways to put those people in front of you and put you in front of the right people who need you. And if you just, I think surrender is probably the biggest thing. And that's, I think, maybe the biggest challenge, certainly that I have, and probably that a lot of people have, is that surrender into there are other energies, entities, consciousnesses that are trying to help us in our evolution, they're available to us, but they're not going to force themselves on us. So we need to be open to receiving that. Do you have any, I don't know if maybe not necessarily techniques, but advice, or can you speak to that just a little bit, the surrender portion of it? How do you connect to the bigger, broader, kind of, I don't know, star family is the right word, but we are connected to everything, because we are source energy every bit as much as everything is, right? So how do we get ourselves into that mindset of truly surrendering and feeling safe in the surrender, rather than the safety and the familiarity of the resistance and the struggle that we've been conditioned to?
Yes, so that's such a beautiful question. So, the way you can surrender is, because what is surrendering is like, when we want to surrender is because, we don't feel safe, and there is a defense mechanism that is blocking us to actually let go of those belief structures that we believe are true. And without those belief structures, we feel that we are safe, that we are going to die. And these are actually, in the chemistry of the body, these are like true feelings, because the mind will put you in flight and fight, that if you try to surrender. So the way that I have become who I am today is, meditation. And what I have a tool that is free of charge. So it's like free on my website. It's a meditation called the Column of Ascension. This is a transmission that I have received from the Arcturian Council of Light. The first thing that they gave me when they start connecting to me. And they said like this: record this for yourself and give it to the world. Everyone is going to this meditation. They are going to raise their frequency every day with every time that they are hearing it, and they will be able to actually stay into their ascension column that will allow them actually to start connecting to their higher self, and to start connecting the higher realms of existence. And this is available on my website, guys. We can go on
So
the
I'm definitely going to put your links in the description
yeah.
of the podcast episodes, because I did go and look at some of the free things that you have available, and I think that's really awesome that you offer those things as a free tool, and is certainly sort of a first step into people being able to sort of activate in a way that may allow them to say, okay, this program or that program that you have is right for me for my next step. How do I go deeper into that? So I do love that, and I was already kind of doing some of the meditations that you have on your website. They're fabulous. I love it. I do think that that's it's a beautiful thing when you offer both that, like the free first step access, and then the full programs, right, for people who really want to delve in and dive in and go deeper. And again, there's that surrender and that trust that you have to have, that there's going to be enough people to come to you to support you in that. I guess that's kind of part of it, the surrender again of, you have to trust that the universe will bring you the right people and the right things, that you can offer up something as a service for free. Like it's not like I charge for this podcast, for example, but the universe knows the people that want to hear you and can put you in their Instagram feed, in their, wherever it is that they happen to find you. And can you talk maybe a little bit about, I don't know if that's something that is a big part of what you do, but sort of synchronicity and sort of how people can learn to sort of read the signs, because our higher self is trying to talk to us and show us all the time what the path is, right? Is that something that you work with people in terms of like sort of tapping into that intuition and learning to see the things in your external reality that are actually your inner self trying to talk to you?
Yeah, so I work with people firstly in subconscious deprogramming. So subconscious deprogramming is going through this process of going deep into the conditioning and beliefs and seeing what is blocking them. And then we activate their intuition. We are activating their intuitive power, because when you activate the intuition, this is when you start listening, because everyone has the capacity to listen, but not everyone has the capacity to take action, or, like action in the moment. That's very important, to go into that chain of flow, like chain of synchronicity, serendipities, and miracles, is when you have to listen and take action. So everything comes from how we are perceiving the world. So the journey we are taking with people is helping them shift their perception about the world, and help them connect to their heart consciousness, because everything starts from the heart consciousness. The ability to actually reside within the fourth and fifth dimension is the ability to connect deeper to your heart consciousness. So we go through this process of bridging their hearts with their minds. We are not disconnecting them with their minds. We are actually showing them that the mind is such an important tool in the process of ascension, awakening, and evolution, but becomes an intrinsic part with the heart. So there are a lot of activations on how to connect your heart frequency with your pineal gland, with your crown chakra, with your pituitary gland, with there is a lot of working on the brain, and also within the mental body. So we work with the physical body, electrical body, magnetical body, energetic body, crystalline light body, diamond light body, rainbow light, but we work with the entire energetic field of your being, but especially with the emotional body, because people are having a lot of feelings and emotions connected with belief systems, and a thought that you thought multiple times becomes a belief, and then becomes a program, and then creates a grid in your subconscious mind, and everything is like grid and grid and grid there. And this is why people can't break through in their own way, because they have to go deeper layers and deeper layers and deeper layers and deeper layers.
You have to break through that grid and peel the onion, so to speak, and pull
exactly.
back those layers to get to the center, sort of.
Yeah, and this is why many people are going so many times in Peru and drink 100 times ayahuasca, because they want to go through those layers, while the way we are doing it is like with no plant medicine, but with water, only water, and receive the frequency, so you receive the transmission, the frequency.
Love it.
And I never teach or taught people or encourage people to take plant medicine in any way, shape, or form, because I feel that we are in such a high frequency on this planet right now, that the frequency, if we learn how to work with the energy and the frequencies of this planet, and with Gaia consciousness, we actually are able to shift our consciousness faster. And I'm a person that, my journey was shortcutted, like, if I can say like that. Like, for example, without even have so many resources, like without having a framework in like 10 months of doing business and doing this type of work, I scaled my business to multiple 6 figures, like in 10 months of doing this super fast. So it's like, I'm a shortcutter. So I bring people through the shortcuts. I'm not letting them take another 10, 15 years of their life in order to figure themselves out.
I love this. I'm a Sagittarius. I'm a fire sign. Patience is not my thing. So
Yeah.
I now I wonder if you can talk a little bit more about that, because I know that, so I know like the ayahuasca plant medicine pathways are sort of very popular, and certainly something that I've said to myself, like I wish I could go to Peru and have an ayahuasca ceremony and interconnect, like it, because that's what we're looking for really in that, is the shortcut, right? And that's what you're doing when you're trying to use those plant medicines. What's that shortcut to cut through all that unconditioned, subconscious programming that I have, that I've been conditioned to, that I kind of am not really even aware of that program anymore. It just runs on its own, to cut through that quickly and to get to something, a deeper, more profound understanding. But I love that you use that with water, and that because the frequency of the planet is such that you can. I mean, are you maybe willing to talk a little bit more about that, and sort of, I guess I don't know if there's a quantum physics sort of way that you can tie it in or not, but I really love that idea of like, you don't need the plant medicines. You can tap in just by connecting to the energy, the vibration, and using water. I love that.
Yes. So actually, the portal, the shortcut is your heart consciousness. This is the stargate. This is a gateway towards everything. So people are trying and they are living their realities through their mind, but they didn't try to live their realities through their heart. And the heart consciousness is not only the organ that we have here, it's not only the anahata, the energetic vortex that is outside. The heart consciousness goes through the layers and layers and layers of who we are. It's a multi-dimensional experience to be in your heart consciousness. So this is where everything starts, like we are going and we are entering the quantum field. We are not even entering the quantum field through our minds or the third eye. We use the heart to enter the quantum field. So this is when we go into the quantum experience, and then we program, because water is a liquid that is so conducive. So we are programming the water with different type of frequencies. Our intention is actually has so much power. And there has been so many experiments on water, but water is like very good, and we are hydrating a lot. And then we start to shift and work at the cellular level, because this is how we shift consciousness. At the cellular level, we take out like programs and stored energy at the cellular level, and we are reprogramming that with new programs, with new belief system. And we do that. And how we are doing it is through 7-dimensional technology. So we are using, as I said, color and sound and the different technology from the Arcturian Council of Light. This is how we do it. This is how we shift people consciousness, and this can happen super quick. Like my programs are between 3 and 6 months. I never teach more than that, because people are shifting after the second month. So they,
I love it. That's amazing.
So this is why it's a shortcut. Everything is happening super fast, super fast. And, I have a global community that I'm always before I used to connect every 3 months with them to give them do free transmissions and activations. I do a bunch of these free transmissions and activations. I just had one a couple of days ago, and teaching people how to connect to well consciousness. I'm going to organize a new transmission before the Lionsgate to help people transition through the portal, and do some activations with them. So please feel free.
Is this something that I was going to say, is on your website available for people to join?
It's not on the website. It's on Livia Devi Global Community Facebook group. So I have a Facebook group. People are going there and are receiving all the news, all the updates, that, all these events that I'm offering for free, and all the activations and transmissions, because people are following me for such a long time, and they shifted through the free transmissions and activations. So, it's just like the ones that are working with me, they just want to take it to the next level super fast,
Right.
But you can have a major shift in consciousness. I have on my website, a lot of free resources as well. And the ones that are part of the community, they have these transmissions for life. So the ones that are following me for a couple of years, they have 10, 20 transmissions already that they always go back and re-listen, because these are timeless transmissions, so every time you go back, it's like you are receiving the codes and the frequencies every time you need it. So yeah, that we are offering, you know, we have such a broad spectrum of how we are supporting our global community. So, you know, and how we are helping people elevate. And actually, the last transmission, because you were mentioning at the beginning about clients and stuff and how do you attract. I did a transmission in Well Consciousness. I have a free money activation, 5th dimensional money frequency activation. People don't know what 5D money frequency is. So it's part of that. And also I taught what is the difference between the 3D business and 5D business, how to connect to their ideal client. And there is a bunch of stuff of codes there that people just received. I think we released the replay yesterday. So, because it was 2 days ago. So yeah, I'm always.
And this is on your website or the Facebook group?
Or it's both? On the Facebook group, or also on my Instagram at Arcturians Channeling. Is my ID handle. Yeah. So on Instagram,
I'll definitely put you know, all the links that you want to share. Yes, definitely, we'll put it in the description, because certainly want people to be able to join that global community and absolutely further attract the clients that you need, or have people just, you know, have access to
anything they need, you know, because people need different things, from subconscious deprogramming to how to elevate their consciousness, the 5th dimension, how to build a business, how to attract clients, how to make an impact. And I feel like my mission on this planet is to help as many people as possible to elevate in, you know, self and wealth and business, and for them to make an impact, because this is how we can actually, you know, support more people that are transitioning from the into the 5th.
It is the opposite of that competition mindset. It is the co-creative mindset. It is the mindset that we can all do this together. We can all succeed. You can have the free resources available, but also have the paid resources. And there's always going to be enough people who want both sides of it or all sides of it, and want to interconnect, that there's always going to be room for you. You know, there's always going to be space for you to succeed, for you to grow, for you to be abundant, because that's the true nature of who we are, is to be that. And if we just surrender into the nature of who we are, you know, we can access all of those things. I love it in such an effortless way. And that's the way that we were meant to be. And that I just love that. I love that you're a facilitator of this energy and of, you know, the techniques, because, you know, certainly techniques and courses and sort of the step-by-step sort of instructive things are something that our, you know, 3D mind kind of needs. But I do also, like you say, it's the frequency and the energy, and just the energy that you put out is so great and so helpful. And I'm so glad that I came across you and that you're here on the podcast. I think it was a wonderful synchronicity that we ended up communicating.
Well, yeah, I think we aligned, you know, like it's just such a
100%.
alignment. And I love this conversation. And, you know, you were saying about non-competition. Actually, the event that I'm organizing for the Lionsgate, which is a free event, is with 2 other Arcturian channelers. So just to see that I am an Arcturian channel, I invite others to organize this event with them. So I'm always about collaboration, co-creation, like how we can come together, you know, which is amazing.
Bring it all in, because it you know, and I love that, because, you know, again, that old 3D mindset is that, well, if these people do an Arcturian channeling also, then I'm in competition and I have to be different than them. No, bring them in, work together. You can draw in bigger crowds. You can draw in more abundance. You can draw in more of that beautiful frequency and that energy when you work together. I love that. So I do want to be mindful of your time. I do want to be respectful of your time. It feels like we've only been talking for a short time, because this has been fabulous. I really love this conversation. But so before we would go, if you can, you know, how do people find you? What kind of things do you want to plug for people to come look for you, so that, and again, put all your links in the description, certainly, but what would be your sort of closing messages to the audience, or how people can find you, and what you want to tell whoever might be listening and tuning in?
Yes, my closing message is to always follow your highest excitement, and, you know, the love that you feel in your heart, and to know that you are not alone on this planet, no matter where you are, you know, in what city, state you are, in whatever situation, and you know, life condition, because, like, you know, so many people are going through a lot of change right now. So just know that you are not alone, and we are here for you. And if you feel inspired by this conversation and you want to find out more about me and my work, and please join my Facebook community. It's a free community. If you are on Facebook, some people are not, but Livia Devi Global Community is such an incredible community with people all around the world. It's not only from United States, all around the world, people that just are coming together, and we are meeting once in a while, and they are very loyal and connected. Like, these people are amazing, that I just love them. And my website, liviadevi.com, as well, you can find a lot of resources. I have a page called Free Resources, so you can go there and check it out. I'm currently enrolling into a program called Well Consciousness. This is more for people that wants to launch businesses, 5D businesses. And if you are anywhere in Miami or New York, on the East Coast, I'm most of the time on these places speaking at events. So
I love it. So if people want to be in your personal energy and
exactly.
I mean, yeah.
You can see the next event is mentioned on my event page. I'll be in New York end of October, and then November I will be in Miami. So I'm bouncing between East Coast and West Coast, and yeah, I'm here for you all. So thank you, Haleigh, for this beautiful conversation.
Thank you, Livia. I am so glad that you and I hooked up. I think this was a fabulous conversation. It's exactly the conversation I needed to have, and isn't the universe just perfect like that?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hello again, friends. That was my conversation with Livia Devi. I do hope you enjoyed it even half so much as I did. You can find Livia at liviadevi.com. All of her links are in the description, so you can certainly check her out. She does have some great free resources and meditations available, and she does also have masterclasses that you can explore signing up for. If you'd like to support more episodes of the Franki 411 podcast, you can support my Patreon. That's patreon.com/AbernathyFranklin. That is the umbrella Patreon for this podcast, as well as my fictional podcast, The Adventures of Abernathy Franklin, where I explore a fictional version of my own infinite selves. I do thank you all so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment or a review, all those good things that listeners can do. And until next time, much love to you, all of my earthbound and cosmic friends. Wherever you are out there, I hope you're doing well.